Hiya, peoples. It's that time of month again. You might hear some slight meowing. My cat is right up against the microphone. Anyways, allow me to introduce you guys to the argumentative trio, Sanji, Maji, and Amet today. Sanji being 8 in the picture, and Maji and Amet are 5. And Sanji and Maji are brothers, and Amet is best friends / partners in crime with Maji. The younger boys, they're pranksters, guys. Hi, Gray. Ah! Ow! Go on, kitty. Anyway, so the 2 younger boys are pranksters, and Sanji always keeps a close eye on them because he's concerned for his brother's behavior, and that's not even getting into the drama that all of them have. And if you're curious about that drama, let me get to you, because it's not really that dramatic drama. It's drama, sure, I guess, but it's not like, oh, the humanity. Sanji and Maji are both the sons of their original towns, healers / doctors kind of thing. And this story goes back to when Sanji was 5 and Maji was 2. Their parents, being quite good with magic, as well as being well versed in herbs and medical knowledge, were considered very high skill leveled for your average village doctors. Back then, Sanji and Maji were very close, Maji holding a lot of trust in his big brother and looking up to him. However, the village became diseased, and many fell sick, and all who got sick died. A cure the 2 doctors could not find. Villagers were dropping like flies, and the only reason the small family of 4 did not fall sick is because of magic augmenting their immune systems. However, due to the continuous exposure, the parents eventually did fall ill, and if they stayed around their children would as well. It was then that Sanji broached the topic of taking Maji and leaving somewhere far away with his parents. Sanji was a very overprotective brother. He still is. After a long talk, it had been agreed on, but there was one problem. Maji is a very emotional, clingy, attached little boy. Telling him he was never coming home again would likely result in his refusing to leave or be dragged away, and in his holding tight to his parents, which may get him sick. So they would have to get him as far away as possible without him finding out. And by they, I mean Sanji. Sanji didn't have very much time to gather very many supplies. Due to concerns of stuff getting contaminated, they had to leave the next day, and he couldn't grab very many items because they might become contaminated, so he didn't want to take that with him. But he got it all together, and the next day, he and Maji went out for a quote-unquote walk in the woods. They had said goodbye to their parents as if they were going out on an outing, and away they went. They went way into the forest to a clearing that they both enjoyed that was fairly deep in. It was kind of a large part of getting Maji away willingly as much as possible done. And once they got to their favorite clearing, they had a nice simple lunch, although Maji's was a little special with a little special medicine that made people sleepy. Since he was already apt to napping after lunch anyway, he barely finished his food before passing out. And once he was asleep, Sanji gathered up their lunch and such, picked up his little brother, and began to walk through the forest further away from home. And he did that, and things were going well for a while. It was very late into the night when Maji finally woke up. He was very groggy at first and asked where they were, and Sanji didn't answer him. But as Maji woke up more and more and realized that it was very late and he had no idea where they were, he got much more persistent in his questioning, and he was whining and begging, and I want to go home. And Sanji got to the point where he couldn't deal with it anymore, so he just had to answer the question. And sure enough, they fought. Sanji tried to explain why they had to leave, while Maji was just screaming and crying and wailing. He just wanted to go home. Just mom and dad. He didn't want this anymore. He doesn't really understand sickness. He just wants to go home. However, all this noise attracted our little group of orphans, and just in time for Maji to try and take off running in an effort to go home and away from his brother. Little did he know he's running in the wrong direction, considering. However, he attempted to run past the little ragtag group of kids, but one kid, who was about his age in the back, Amet, managed to grab him and slow him down enough so that Percy could get a good hold of Maji. And Amet and Percy tried to get Maji to calm down, while Karina and Lilim spoke with Sanji in very quiet voices. And when they were done talking, Sanji went to fetch Maji to explain that they would be going with these other kids. And as he went to grab his older brother, Maji cried more and held tightly to Percy, cowering away from his brother, because the trust that he put so much faith in his brother with, that was broken now. Since his brother was gonna go and kidnap him from his parents. And little does Maji know that it was also his parents who suggested this as well, but whatever. At this, Sanji went to try and pry his brother away because he didn't want to burden Percy with with Sanji's responsibilities, and because deep in his mind he was just a little concerned about some of the stories he'd heard about demons. He's never met a demon before, and he was just a little concerned. However, his attempts to take his brother away made Amet kind of angry, and he stepped between Maji and Sanji, demanding the older brother back off. And Percy, not wanting to fight in the middle of night, because it would make a lot of noise, and there were a bunch of children who are 8 or younger. He just was like, look, it's okay. I'll take care of it. I'll take care of him. I'll take good care of him. Please, just stop fighting. And Amet was like, nah, I ain't leaving. I'm staying here. And Percy was like, fine. But please, Sanji, leave us alone. But he was just like begging Sanji to leave him alone. To stop fighting. That's all he cared. And with sigh of frustration, as it had been a long, painful day for him as well, Sanji agreed and thanked Percy, and he went up towards the front to speak more with Karina as the little group continued forward. The only noise they ever made was quiet steps, Maji crying quietly, and whispered attempts to console him from both Percy and Amet. And that's Sanji and Maji, for the most part. But if you'll notice, you kind of could see it there, but you don't really see it in entirety. Amet and Sanji don't get along, just inherently. And the reason why is because Sanji gives off kind of a very stern, authority figure behavior when he is around Maji, and that grates against Amet because of his history. To be honest, Sanji is a very nice person, even to his brother. Well, I mean, of course he is, even to his brother, but he's also very stern and kind of strict around his brother, and that's what causes the issue. But, let's get into Amet's past, shall we? Amet had 4 older siblings, 3 of which were brothers and 1 sister. And his mother and her husband, after they had their 4th child, had agreed to stop having children. And many, many years passed since that decision until their daughter, which was the last child, was almost fully grown, when Amet's mother started actually having an affair and eventually conceived Amet. and this resulted in the two spouses fighting for a while, but eventually her husband forgave her, and he planned to raise Amet as his own, until giving birth to Amet killed his wife. The family, however, in their grief, came to blame the new baby, and eventually, Amet's adoptive father actually began to beat him. Amet, of course, never understood why. He was too young to. And he tried to keep his father from being angry with him. He hated that his brothers looked at him with such, anger and hatred. He hated that. And the only solace he had was that his older sister, the only member of the family, was somewhat nice to him. He looked up to her, liked to pretend that if he had a mother, she'd be just like his big sister. And it was that trust in her that brought him to her doorstep one night. His father had gotten drunk again, and had beat him quite badly, and he did not want to go back, ever. He thought if he told his older sister, she would take him in, and he could rely on her. And when she opened the door and he explained and begged if she would let him in, feeling fully confident she'd say yes, he was very, very disappointed, because when he looked up, his face fell. Because she was looking at him with the same eyes that his brother had always looked at him with, and his father had looked at him with, and his sister had never looked at him with. And he would never know this, but his sister had always hated him just as much as the rest of the family. She just kind of tried really hard to be an older sister to him, since no one else was trying to be a family to him, but she didn't want to have to raise him. So she just told him, why don't you just leave then and not come back? And with that, she slammed the door in little Amit's face, and he was upset. He was kind of abandoned, and he was betrayed, and he did the only thing he could think to do, which was basically what she told him to do. He ran away, and no one ever cared enough to look for him. And no one knows this in the orphanage group, and Amet likes to keep it his secret. Amet doesn't like talking about it, and no one needs to know his past. No one needs to know where the few scars on his body came from, as far as he's concerned. And he and Maji will never realize it, but a large part of why they bonded so quickly and so well as children was kind of through both of them feeling betrayed from their siblings that they had once looked up to very much. Even though for Maji it was to a much lesser extent, and to be honest, his betrayal feeling was just because he was a little brat. But it still created a bond that the two could bond over. Well, that's it. I hope you guys liked the story. I hope I didn't mess it up, I guess. And with that, I guess I'll send y'all off. Comment if there are any questions, of course, or if you just want to talk, because I like talking, and I'd like to talk to y'all. So with that, like if you like, sub if you wish, but most importantly, have fun.